Welcome to the Cookbook, where we invite guests on to share the ingredients of what has helped make them the successes that they are. All of it, the good, the not so good. You're not going to find anything half-baked here. And our kitchen gets messy sometimes. That's when the fun starts. So come on and join us. Okay, so hey, there are times when we all could use a little extra help and support in our lives. Whether there's something you're struggling with or just seeking connection with other people who understand what it's like to be in your situation, Anovia Behavioral Health can help. Anovia is a subscription-based organization that provides unlimited access to a wide variety of educational, experiential, and therapeutic support groups that are led by live expert facilitators. Now, you can get 20% off your membership with the discount code Cookbook20 when you subscribe. Check it out today at AnoviaBH.com. Anovia, feel better. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Cookbook. I'm Iris Goldfeder, your host, and I'm super excited about our guest today, Jennifer Keable. I'm going to read her bio and bring her on. So having gone through her own struggles, Jennifer Keable knows what it feels like to scrape by doing everything for everyone else and putting in the bare minimum for herself. Yeah, I think we've all been there for that one. Because of what she went through, Jennifer created The New You, which is dedicated to guiding women from exhaustion to finding and reclaiming their happiness. Built from a place of passion, Jennifer, founder and fulfillment coach with The New You, knows that you are meant for so much more and has the passion, dedication, and experience to bring you from surviving to thriving. Jennifer works with women who are ready to unleash their truest desires and step into their full potential. She operates from a place of opportunity, confidence, and empowerment. Jennifer helps her clients move from a life of overwhelming stress, crippling self-doubt, and poor self-care to living an intentional, meaningful, and joyful life. The New You is confident, self-loving, playful, at peace with herself, and is thriving emotionally, physically, and mentally. Jennifer loves being part of life-changing transformations because she herself went through a time of darkness that overwhelmed her and threatened every level of success she had built. Wow, we're going to have to talk about that. Jennifer loves celebrating successes, other people's, the uniqueness of every single human being, her own quirks, and how they enhance her own unique beauty, the power of community, the ability and opportunity to empower others to live their most meaningful life, and being able to live out her heart and passion every day. Her favorite quote is foundational to how she helps people. Alone we do so little, together we accomplish so much. It does take a village, right? If you're ready to step into your full potential, set up a time to talk to Jennifer. She's ready to help you. Without further ado, let's meet Jennifer. Hey there.
Hello. Hi. It's so good to see you.
It's so good to see you too. Wow. It's so funny. I'm in reading your bio and I just I'm looking through it again. I know when we talked, we went over some of this, but not all of it. And wow. So, I love that you put that, you survived and thrived from a place of darkness. Because I think we've all gone through that, especially as women. We always put everybody, before ourselves. And so I think that it's awesome that you've risen out of the ashes like a phoenix and have turned into the new you. So let's talk about it a little bit.
Yes. So for me, it was after I had my second child. I was working in the corporate world and I was a project manager for a general contractor. I had high responsibility and a team that looked up to me, projects that I needed to manage, and I give everything my all. So when I go in, I'm going in big. I'm building incredible things. And so I had very high expectations of myself. And there was no way that I was going to let my home life interrupt that. I was going to continue to show up just as powerfully as I did prior to kids. Well, as we all know, when we have children, it's extremely demanding. There can be sleepless nights. There's a lot of physical need and exhaustion on the mom. And my second son, he was probably about 2 years old. And I started to realize, okay, I've been neglecting myself. I haven't been putting in any self-care. It's time that I start to do that. I need to bring in the self-care back into my schedule. And so I would book the odd thing, maybe once a week or every couple of weeks. And I went to this yoga class. It's called aerial yoga, and it's when a fabric hangs from the ceiling in the shape of a U.
I've heard of that. Yeah, I looked at
Yes.
that and I figured I would kill myself on that, but
Oh my God, it is so much fun. So much fun. I love it. But it wasn't quite that experience the very first time. So
oh,
I went through the class, made it through. I'm laying in Shavasana at the end of class, and this fabric is cocooning me. Like I'm in the most safe place in the entire world. And it just has this gentle sway to it. And
oh,
it just relaxed me in a way that I don't think I had probably been relaxed for 5 more years or so. And it all came rushing in. It all hit me all at the same time because I had never allowed me to go there before.
wow.
And the tears started shedding. And I quickly came back to it and was like, okay, get your crap together. You're in a public space with a whole bunch of strangers you don't know. And so it was just like, okay, let me gather myself. Thank goodness it's the end of class. So I was able to, finish up and get to my car. And it all came pouring out. I
Hmm.
was screaming, I was crying, I was yelling, I was banging the steering wheel. And to be quite honest, this really shocked me because I had never seen myself behave in this way before. I've been thankful, grateful, I guess, to have had a very steady mental state my whole life. And, things always seemed relatively easy and it wasn't hard to be positive. And then all of a sudden, this kind of hit. And I don't know how I got home that night, but thank God that I did safely. But it didn't end there. It wasn't something that I could contain within me. It continued to pour out, and
Hmm.
my husband was there, and he didn't understand it, but he was there for me. I didn't understand it either, so I don't blame him at all. But that was
I
kind
mean,
of the
was he
beginning.
helping you with the baby though at all? I mean, you said that it was like all you. It sounds like all of that was on you.
Well, let's say that's not that he wasn't helping. It's just that I think as a mama, I see a lot of other moms do this too, that
Mhm.
we feel like the baby needs us. We feel like we're going to do it better. We feel like,
Oh, okay.
um, like, for example, my baby at the time, well, not the time, 2 years prior, but when he was a baby, he was kind of colicky, right? And so he would cry for on and on. And it didn't matter what you would do, but I would keep showing up and giving him that emotional support. Whereas my husband didn't feel that way. He's like, well, if he's going to cry anyway, and he's going to cry in his crib or he's going to cry in my arms, I might as well just put him down.
Oh man. Oh, okay.
So that was like an adventure, right? That was part of it. Yes.
Right. But did it feel like when all that came out over time, like wasn't that cathartic to just release all of that,
It took
whatever it
time to get
was?
there. It took time to get there. At
Really?
first, it just felt really deep and dark and heavy and confusing
Oh wow. Okay.
at the beginning, and scary, right? Because I had never really experienced anything like that before.
Wow.
And I was coming from a place where I had always shown up in a way that was like, I wanted to appear like I had it all together, right? Like I was only good enough if I looked like my life was that perfect life, right? Like the white picket
Okay.
fence and the perfect husband, and I'm the perfect mom. And so how in the world could I ever share this with anybody? Because then they might see less of me. I might not be that person they thought they were.
Wow.
And what
That's
would
so
that
much
say about me?
pressure you put on yourself. So much pressure. Wow.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now are we, this is going to make this explicit now. Now are we at the, zero fucks phase or less
Hell
fucks
yes,
phase?
baby.
Right.
Oh my God, yes.
Okay. Uh,
Yes.
well, because I think we all, right, get to that. So, I mean, I don't have kids. I have fur kids,
Mhm.
and this is our second set of, two. We lost our original three over the last 3 years. Um, so I don't know what it's like to be a human mom.
Yeah.
Um, but I do know what it's like to, you know, feel that utter that frustration that finally gets free. I was never the, perfect. Like I think the last probably 15, 20 years, I stopped giving a shit about, what people thought of me and all that other stuff. But, you have those frustrations, and, people always look up to me to be, oh, she can handle anything.
Right.
And, there came a time, I was hospitalized 2 years ago because of COVID. And I was done. Like I was, kind of forced to be vulnerable and all of that. And when I found out that everything was going to be okay, I got in my car and I cried like a baby. It was just like, so that release for me, it was cathartic because I didn't realize I'd been holding all that in for a year.
Right.
And that was me for a year. So I can't imagine how many years you had to show up perfect. I mean, that's like, wow. So how did you, so when you finally realized that you didn't have to, like, was it just like a woohoo, I'm free kind of thing? Was it like a, was it like a, oh my God, fuck all you people that made me feel like this, or fuck me for making me feel like this? Like where were you in that? Because that's like, I just think of all that pressure that you put on yourself, and I'm just going, oh my God, like my headache that I had that went away is like coming back thinking about it. So no.
Yeah, it was very much a journey. So it didn't happen all of a sudden, right? I started building on things. I started putting on practices. And for me now, yes, I feel incredibly free. And it feels amazing to go out and do whatever I want, whatever I want, and just to speak in a way that's not rude, that's just genuine and authentic. And like, if you love the message, great. And if you don't, that's okay too. I'm not going to be everybody's jam. And I don't want to be everybody's jam.
Right.
And so for me, that feels great, right? Like accepting it and knowing that it doesn't reflect on me, if I am their jam or if I'm not, right? This is about who they are. I don't thrive with everybody else. I don't connect with everybody else. And that's not going to be the same this way. So let's have some realistic expectations, because it feels a lot better when we do.
Oh yeah. That adage that, it's like hurt people.
Yes.
And I'm like, people who hurt people are assholes. There's no, I'm like not giving them that. I'm not giving them that out anymore.
Right.
So, I say that, there are the people that we're meant to be with and we're meant to work with. Mm-hmm. And then the other people, they're not our people.
Yeah.
And it's okay. 100%. Because like you said, not everybody is going to be, your jam. Mm-hmm. I'm not, not everyone's going to be, my jam. And it's so funny because the clients that work with me because of who I am.
Yes.
Right. They work with me. So we're basically our brand. And the beauty of it is that, I get these comments like, you're just so real. And if I'm doing something wrong, you're not in my face, but you're making sure that I don't do it. And I need that. And there are other people that can't handle that.
Right.
I had a client last year that I was like, oh, we shouldn't be doing this. I don't, it is my recommendation not to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's worked in the past. Yeah, but you hired me for a reason. So obviously it's not working. So we probably shouldn't do this.
Right.
And then I lay out the reason why.
Yeah.
And like literally they were like, oh, that's not what I thought this was going to be. And I said, if you thought I was going to be all sunshine and roses and like, woohoo, this is awesome and this is lovely. No, I'm going to tell you when it's working. I'm going to tell you when it's not working. I'm going to tell you when we need to tweak it. And I'm going to tell you when, not that you're doing something wrong, because I don't like to focus on the negative. I like to focus on the positive and build on that. Not like, oh man, you're doing this wrong, so we shouldn't do that. But more like, hey, this is working, so let's build on that. But when I do that, and then you're like, yeah, but I don't want to do that. I want to do this. And it's like, So the last time we did that
Yeah.
didn't work. And then I realized we just weren't a good fit.
Yeah.
And then I said very calmly, hey, I just don't think that we're meshing, because you don't want to listen to me. You hired me to do a job. Maybe you need to hire somebody else to do the job. And I'm okay with that.
Yes.
And it's not being rude, and it's not being inconsiderate. If anything, I think that's being more considerate, because you're not wasting your money with me.
100%.
Right? I mean, I'll
It has
take
to be
your
a
money,
win-win.
but exactly. But I don't want to take your money if I can't help you succeed, if I can't help you, period.
Mhm.
I don't want your money.
Yeah.
I don't want it, because I got to sleep at night. I
Yes.
can't like let you pay me and me going, ha ha, I know I'm not helping you. I mean, who does that?
And that sleep is worth way more than anyone can pay you.
Oh, yeah, especially you with 2 kids. So, so, so now that you're past that piece,
Mhm.
so how long ago was that?
So would have been about 5-6 years ago.
Okay. So now you're in this, you've emerged from the cocoon,
Yes.
and now you're a butterfly for 5 years, and you've spread your wings and you're flying and stuff. So what, when you got to that point, what made you, I guess you decided to leave corporate, right?
Yeah.
So was that what made you decide to become an entrepreneur?
Yes and no. So that was the start of it, right? I
Okay.
actually continued to work in the corporate world for another like 4 years after that. And it was actually that spurred it, right? So that was the spark. And then a couple of years before I started my journey, there was a few people in my life who were struggling, who didn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, who were struggling to get out of bed every day and actually show up for their kids, or even just have any happiness in their life. And I had just brought it upon myself to help guide them, to help empower them, and show them there's a different way, and show them that life can feel different. It doesn't have to be this way. And after doing that for several months, the feedback that I received from these 2 women forever changed me. It was the most incredible feedback that I could have ever received. The one woman told me I saved her marriage. The other woman, actually both of them, told me that they found a light in them that they never knew ever existed within them. And
wow.
yeah, it was like it just like grabs my heart so strongly. And from there, at that time, I was listening to a podcast in the morning who talked about coaching. It wasn't really something I was familiar with before. And at the same time, I had lots going on at the time. I like to stay busy. I was doing a meditation course. And at the end of the course, you actually finish with manifesting. And so I had manifested in this one session, building a beautiful coaching business and helping hundreds of women. And I got out of the manifesting, and I literally, I shocked myself. I didn't know where that had come from. I had never thought about starting my own coaching business before. And yet it felt so darn good that it was like, okay, I need to explore this. And so I did. I'm like, I'm just going to take a mini course, because I don't want to invest too much time or too much money if it's not right. Because at the time, I thought my other career was what I was going to do until I retired. I thought that was my jam. I thought that was my definition of success. So anyway, I did this course over a few days, loved it, and then decided I needed to invest heavily in my time and my finances. And I did. And I built it up while I was working full time. I did this part-time. And because here, like, same thing, logistically, I'm like, okay, I need to make sure financially it makes sense, right? Because at the time I was the breadwinner, right? Like, life was set up. I had things really good when I was working corporate from a financial standpoint. But that's what got me going, was like that initial knowing what it's like to be in the dark, but then also that feedback of these other women and feeling what that felt like, and knowing that, what if I could have an impact on more than just 2 women, right? That in itself would make it worth it. And so that is what inspired me to do this whole journey.
That's amazing. And when you help somebody, and then you get that affirmation at the end that you help them, there is no better feeling in the world. And it's not that you help them to get that affirmation. You help them because, you come from a place of, for me, I know that my purpose in life is to be of service and, to help people however, I can, whether it's through healing. And I know you non-woo-woo people out there are going, ooh, what you talking about? But, I know that I'm a healer. I know that I'm supposed to help guide people on their path. I know, a lot of different things. But when I do help somebody and I get that, like you said, that feeling, you see that transformation, there's no better feeling in the world.
No.
And for you, your journey is coaching. For me, mine is my business, which is, marketing, which you're like, how do you get that feeling from marketing? But let me tell you, I mean, it's pretty amazing. You build an amazing website for somebody, you help somebody, grow their business, and they look at you and they're like, hey, thanks for helping me put food on my guy's table. It's a hell of a good feeling. That was a little scary when I heard that, though. That was kind of like, oh shit, that's a lot of pressure. But it kind of even helped, change my trajectory a little, in that, my mission became more, rather than just helping people grow their business. I know that, if I don't do a good job for them, some people might not eat.
Right.
That's not going to happen on my watch.
Yes.
So it put it in a different light. So, gosh, I still can't get over all the pressure that you put. Like I keep going back to that, because it's like, so people don't realize that when we put that pressure on ourselves, right? Like, I've had friends that were called overachievers because, they're a mom, their kids are in baseball, they're, executives, they're in like 20 different networking things, they blah, 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 boards, all that stuff. And to me, it's like, if you can do all that and that's fulfilling, that's your purpose. That's what you want to do until you don't want to do it anymore, right? I had a friend who was doing all that, and then finally she was like, I had to get off a couple of boards because, I mean, it gets to a point that it is a lot. But that pressure to be perfect. So when you're working with somebody who, because I'm going to assume that you work with women who put those same pressures on themselves, right? Mm-hmm. How is that initial, how do they react to the initial, you don't have to do this?
Usually a lot of emotion. Yeah. But most of them are coming to me to start off with because they already know that they can't continue to do this, right? They're starting to see it in a lot of times their behavior, right? So a lot of times in terms of how they're actually treating their partner, their kids, they can see that they're just showing up every day and they just feel like a robot, right? Crushing down their own emotions like they don't even matter. And they get sick of it. It's like, enough is freaking enough. I'm done with living this way, So they know that things need to be different. It's just most of the time they're like, I don't know how. I don't know how to change things. And I don't even know what that can look like. So is it possible? Right? It's like they know things need to change, but they're not sure if or how.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then they come to you and...
Well, but it doesn't happen overnight, right?
No, well, nothing happens overnight.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, that has to take a lot of work. I mean, because you're transforming the way that you're thinking, you're transforming the way that you're being and showing up. That I mean, I don't think that's turnkey. That's got to be a lot of work.
Yeah, I would say that typically, like, the magic for my clients usually happens between the 4 and 6 month mark. Mm-hmm. Right. And so I have some people who come on, they're like, well, what about 3 months, right? 6 months is a long time. I'm like, I could. You could have some change, but to be quite honest, if you want real change, if you want something that's going to be with you forever, right? And drastic change that's going to feel incredible versus just small insights or small changes, you got to be there for the 6 months
Right.
because else you're missing out on the magic. Honestly, I see it over and over again, right? I'll do a 3 month and then it's like, okay, guys, don't stop now. I can see it happening. You might not. And then between 4 and 6 months, I get that text. Oh my God, Jennifer, I just want to thank you. Like I just had that from actually, I have a client, we're wrapping up in the next 2 weeks here. And she's like, I just want to thank you because I can see every day how drastic, like the drastic difference in how I feel. Like, just thank you. This is incredible. I never would have imagined that it would feel like this. Right. So it's like, don't miss out on that opportunity. Don't give up too early. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's true. People, you give people a timeline and they're like, yeah, they don't want to spend the money, they don't want to, whatever the reason is. And it's like, you need to invest. That's an investment in you and in your life. Right. And I feel that if people aren't willing to invest, because for us, it's like around 6 months too, right?
Yeah.
If you're not willing to invest in your business for that or in yourself, because at the end of the day, depending on who it is, if you're not willing to invest that in yourself, then, what are you going to do? Because 3 months, it sounds like a long time, but it goes by in a flash. It's like a flash in a pan. Boom! It's gone. And people don't realize it until the 3 months goes, and they're like, "Oh, it's over already." Yeah, yeah, it's over already. So now that you've hit the road to entrepreneurship, what advice do you have for people who are thinking about becoming an entrepreneur? Maybe they're not, in the position that you were in where you were like, what the, or it's out of necessity, they got fired or,
Yeah.
whatever the scenario.
Well, I would say a few things, right? So if you're going into entrepreneurship, be prepared for the long game. I see and talk to so many people who are like, okay, I'm going to start this out. I'm starting my business. And they give themselves a couple months to see if they can do it. But unless you're like 1 in a billion, you are not going
in
to.
a couple of months. How do you build a business in 2 months? That's insane.
I don't know, but I see it all the time.
Seriously?
Seriously.
2 months.
If not 2 months, like under 6, but yeah, definitely. So be in there for the long game, right? You can't show up and just, there is no such thing as overnight success. I think that is the most confusing thing, is that someone, like an audience, won't hear somebody and then all of a sudden they'll be in the spotlight and the media will make it look like they're an overnight success, but you didn't see the blood, sweat, and tears that went in behind the scenes to get them there. So if you're considering entrepreneurship, my advice is be there for the long game. Know that it takes time, and that because it doesn't happen in 6 months or less, because it doesn't happen in a year or less, is not a reflection of you or your worth, right? So that would be number one. Number two, I would say, is establish a strong work-life balance from the beginning. I see so many entrepreneurs who get into the journey because they want to have that balanced life, right? They want to be in control of their time. They want to be able to take time off, have extra time in the evenings and weekends. And then they land up working this time because they're like, well, I got to build the business. I got to, put that extra food on the table. But it is so darn hard to reverse a habit than to start a new habit, a new healthy habit, right from the beginning. So set the boundaries.
And that's so hard. So, Kofi, my producer, we've been together for, I don't know, 18 years now. It's like insane. But his thing was always grind. I remember he would work till I'd get an email from him at 3:00 in the morning. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You need to sleep, dude. You need to. And I mean, I'm going to point a finger at myself too, because my wife would wake up at 5:30 in the morning and I would be at my computer.
Right.
And she'd be like, did you get up before me? And I'd be like, what time is it? And she's like, oh my God, go to bed. Like, look, what are you doing? Because in the very beginning, there's the thing, I'd rather work 100 hours for myself than 40 hours for somebody else, right? And when you're building the thing, I think in the beginning, in the very beginning, I think you have to put that time in. And maybe that's just my perspective, but I guess I look at it that in the beginning, it's you. Right. If you don't have the resources to have a virtual assistant like I have now, who's, my executive assistant who does like, oh my God, like everything, to, being in the position to do that, to where you have to, make sure you do all your posts. You have to make sure you do all of, your social media. You have to make sure that you do all of your invoicing and, oh shit, I forgot to pay this vendor. I thought I paid this vendor and now I'm 7,000 in the hole. Holy crap. I mean, there's like so many things, right? So, not that happened. I heard that might have happened, but, I have an accountant now, but it's like when you have to do all the things, for me, it was like, and I didn't realize it. I didn't realize how much I was working until she would be like, I remember, I think the end of that for me was she woke up, she was actually going into work a little later. And I was like this on my keyboard. I was sleeping on my keyboard and she was just like, no, you can't, and I remember like the day that happened, I remember falling asleep. I remember going, I just have to get past this one more sentence. And then
didn't make it.
Didn't make it. Now, I'll work till, it depends on the day. I'll work till 7. My designer and I, will be working on stuff and, she's trying to be better as far as like working late. Cause she has her own business and we collaborate on some stuff and we'll be on the computer zooming or on the phone at like 9 o'clock at night. And we're like, oh my God, we got to, stop this. Even being where I am now, I still feel like sometimes it's not enough. Like I need to do a little bit more, but I'm really working on pulling back. We went to Hawaii in November. I don't know if I told you this when we spoke, and it was our first vacation ever in 18 years.
Oh, wow.
Now we're celebrating 20 years together. We were married 10 years because, it wasn't legal. So it was our 10-year anniversary. And we went to Hawaii. And after the second day, it was like, oh, this is what relaxing is. Like, no. So first off, they're 5 hours behind. So by the time we're getting up and starting our day and planning our day, everybody's leaving work already. Okay. And I worked one day where I called Kofi because one of our clients, there was something going on and she was like, well, deal with it when you get back. And I was like, no, this needs to be fixed now. So I call him and he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, we just need to take care of this one thing. He's like, you're on freaking vacation. Hang up the phone. It was like 7 o'clock at night here and 2 o'clock in the afternoon in Oahu, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but I'm in a traffic jam right now. To the left of me is the ocean. And to the right of me are these amazing Hawaiian, mountains. I'm good. We can work through this. He's like, hang up the phone. And like Heather's looking at me like, really? And I'm like, I just needed this one thing. So we figured it out. And then that was it. I didn't work the rest of the time. And when we came home, there's a thing that says, everything works better when it's rebooted, including us. I felt that.
Yes.
It was like, oh, I am so ready to hit everything. I mean, it took me a day. We got back Sunday morning at like 5 o'clock in the morning. I thought I cleared my Monday off. I had one meeting at 2 o'clock. This is like the best. And I'm in the middle of the meeting. We're 15 minutes in and the guy's talking and all I'm seeing is I am not retaining one. I'm so tired and jet lagged. I have no idea what he's saying. So I said, and I'm very transparent. I said, I got to stop you for a minute. And he goes, what? I said, I haven't heard one thing that you said in the last 15 minutes. I said, your mouth is moving, but I'm not retaining anything. I said, you kind of snuck in my calendar before I shut the day off.
Yeah.
I said, I just got back from Hawaii. And he's like, oh my God. He's like, that's the best thing I've ever heard. He goes, so can we still talk for the next 15 minutes? And I was like, no, because I'm like delirious. And so we ended up talking the following week and he signed on with me.
Okay.
He said, you were so honest that he goes, when you said that, at first I was kind of like, are you freaking kidding me? And then I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, she really just said that? And I tell people what you see is what you get. Like, you're not going to get anything sugar-coated, but I literally did not remember. And then when we met the following week, he said, so do you remember anything that we talked about? I said, I remember your name. I didn't remember anything.
Yeah. But
it was amazing. And then Tuesday I was, bam, ready to go. And
I love that you bring that up, right? Like, as soon as you supercharged yourself and recharged, that you showed up incredibly more powerfully, right?
Yeah.
You're probably more efficient, way more productive.
Oh, like 100%. Like I set up so I had 3 clients sign on in January.
Mm-hmm.
And I set that up like that week that I got back, because the following week was Christmas and we were in Pittsburgh. So it was like, I had a 2-week window to where I was like, woohoo, supercharge, let's go. And I got all the things done. And then we took the last, I think, 2 weeks of December off. And then we started again, like the middle of the first week of January. But we didn't do podcasts until that second week of January because we needed time. Kofi also needed time, which I was proud of him. Like, he'll speak up now. Now he'll be like, like when we were doing the podcasts, we took off the last 2 weeks of February because we had so many that were, recorded, that he was like, let's take a break. Let's, relax a little. And it was like, okay, we're going to do that because we usually film Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Okay.
So we, stop those. Of course, I fill those with meetings, but that's okay because now I have more clients.
Right.
So, but there's the balance, right? It's like you can stop something to keep something else going, I guess. I don't know. But I just went on a long tangent. I do these. I do that sometimes. So what do you so when you're working with somebody and you get to that, they get to that nirvana, right? Mm-hmm. At that point, what does that look like for them? Like, what is it? How do they know that they've reached it?
Because it's a feeling. It's not that you achieved anything external, right? If somebody didn't know you beforehand, they might not necessarily know the transition you went through, but the people in your life and yourself
know it.
That's where it shows up, right? Like, what my one client said, right? She's like, I wake up in the morning and I'm actually excited to start my day. For the first time in my life, I'm excited to start my day, right? Whereas before, she's like, I didn't even want to get out of bed. The only reason I did is because I had 4 little ones that were relying on me, right? And so it's like that. And I think of one of my other clients. She's 68 years old. And when she first started with me, I asked her, I was like, why did you hire me? Why me? And she was brutally honest, and I loved it. And she said, I was desperate. I was desperate. I didn't know where else to go. Okay. Right. And she's like, I had tried 60 years of therapy and counseling and psychology and psychiatry, and nothing freaking worked. Nobody cared enough to really dive in where I needed them to dive in. And she's like, and in 6 months, you did more than 60 years that these other professionals were able to do. And she's like, for the first time in my life, I know I'm a good person.
Oh.
Right? Like,
that's just that.
Yeah. She had
Wow.
a very hard upbringing, and the message shared from her parents was not kind. And that sticks with you forever. It doesn't matter
Oh,
how old you are,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
childhood stories, they stick with us no matter if it was traumatic or not traumatic, they stick with
Mhm.
us. And so when I talk about it being a feeling, it is a feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you said that, that just hit.
Yeah.
Because I had my mom telling me I'd never amount to anything.
Mm,
You
mhm,
know, like I'm a musician. You know, you'll never. You need to be a secretary. I don't want to be a secretary.
mm.
Well, I've been a secretary, and look at where I am. I am. I don't want to be a secretary. It's like, no, I'm good. Um, and it's so funny because working for, I had two really good bosses, and the rest were just awful. They were just
Mhm,
awful, and I kept putting myself in that position. And I found out through, not through therapy, through actually speaking to this guy I was working with, who was helping me, work through some stuff. Um, that everything that I did for the last, you know, how old am I? So the last like 56 years of my life, 55, give or take, um, was because of something that happened to me at
mhm,
7 years old and how I reacted.
mhm.
Um, and my reaction was to run.
Yeah.
Uh, and when I realized that, and I've spoken about this before on here, but when I realized that every single decision in my life that I could remember, because there was a period there that,
Yeah.
I might have partied a little bit, but every decision that I made sense.
Mhm.
Every bad decision that I made sense. Every bad relationship that I got into made sense. Like all of it was like it, you talk about the curtain being lifted, right? It was like, oh my, are you kidding me? And then it made me realize that I didn't have to be that hurt little girl anymore.
Mhm.
So I
Yes.
went back, I gave her a hug, I kissed
Mm,
her, I held her,
mm, mhm,
and I said, I can't stop what's coming, but I'm going to be there the entire way, and we're
mhm.
going to get through this, and
That's
we're going to be
beautiful.
okay.
Yes.
Um, and that's why this last year things have just been like all balls out because
Mhm,
I was healed and I didn't realize it until I realized it. And I was like, oh, I can do this and I can show up like this and I can be myself
mhm.
and not regret it and not be like, oh, shoot, maybe I was a little too much. If I'm too much, see ya. I don't need you.
Yes.
You
Yes. I
know?
love that.
So it's been amazing. So the fact that at 68,
Mhm.
I get it. I mean, good for her, and good for her to have the self-awareness to know that she needed you, right?
Yeah.
Because how often does it happen that we don't? We're not that self-aware.
Yeah. Oh, all the time. All the time. Yeah.
So so how long have you been doing this?
It's been a couple years now.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're I'm going to call you seasoned. So there are seasoned entrepreneurs, right? And this is one of the things we talked about. What were one of the obstacles that you overcame? So from um I'll use one of your questions. What has been your biggest learning experience as an entrepreneur?
Mm, yeah. Well, I would say two things. So, one is stop trying to do it all on your own. You don't have to do it all on your own, right? Like, especially at the beginning, we're all conscientious. Oh, no, well, I don't want to spend that extra money. It's going to set me back. No, girl, it is going to drive you forward,
Yes, ma'am.
right? Like, stop seeing the small picture, see the big picture. That
Yeah.
helps. That's going to get you places you wouldn't be able to get on your own. So yes, stop doing things on your own. And number two, believe in yourself and come from a place of your heart. So when you show up with those clients and you're trying to show up in a certain way, right? You're trying to show up in that box. You're trying to appear perfect. You're trying to appear like you got it all together and there's no faults. It's really hard to help your client as much as what they need. But when you can show up in a place where you're 100% certain about who you are and what you have to offer, and just like you said, just speak your truth, whether they want to hear it or not,
Right.
that is when things also take off, because people
Yeah.
can feel it, and they were, for the most part, they respect it, right? And when they don't respect it, they're not in a place where they're ready for that growth, and that's okay.
Right. And they don't align with you, and that's okay, right? It's
Yes.
because for me, it's all about the people that I align with.
Mhm.
And it's funny because on my vision board, I have heart-centered business, because that's what,
Mhm.
that's what I am.
Yes.
And it's so it's so important, because I see a lot of people who've been in business for a long time, and they are not happy.
Mhm.
They are not happy. Um, on the outside they are, but on the inside, you're like, ooh, you can look in their eyes and
Yeah.
see the unhappiness. And there's one person that I know that, I really care about, and I know that they're not happy.
Mhm.
But they're also not one who's good with that feedback. So I just, it's like, if they're ever ready,
Mhm.
they know that I'm here to talk to,
Yeah.
and then I know where to send them. But so, do you work with mainly women or men as well, or are you?
Yeah, I've had both clients, but I would say primarily women.
Mhm.
So, and it just kind of naturally happened that way, right? So at the beginning, I was marketing to everybody. It was like, hey, everyone, I can help you, right?
I love that. Oh man, sorry, that was funny.
And then as you start to like actually look back at your business and reflect, okay, who is attracted to me, right? It's like, okay, wait a second, it's 90% females that are attracted to me. Okay. So why don't I speak more of their language? Why don't I show up for them in the way that they need me? And it's not that men don't need me in the same way, or that men can't be attracted to me in that kind of way. It's just that they need to be heart aligned.
Hmm.
And there's a lot more females who are more heart aligned or are more open to be heart aligned than men, right? I think guys that our earlier generation, the newer generations, they're working on it. They're a lot more in tune with their emotions and their feelings, and
Yes,
know that
the
they're
older
allowed to express
generation.
themselves.
Oh no, 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 no! I'm not going to say the Boomers and the Gen Xers, but yeah, 100%. They're
Yeah,
don't cry, boy.
that's right. That's right.
Don't
So,
cry.
so
Hold it in.
they
You're a
don't want
girl.
to come see me, right? Heaven forbid. What if somebody found out, right?
Exactly.
Like,
Well,
oh God.
I have a client who works with the C-suite,
Mhm.
um, and he can't he can't talk about who he works with in fear of,
Right.
like they don't want it out there that
Yeah.
they need help, which kind of makes me sad, because I think that if anything, the fact that you can admit
Mhm.
that you need the help, I think I think that speaks volumes. Um,
100%.
I'm going to pause for 1 second, because I have a sponsor, which kills me, and I want to just talk about them for a second. This just makes me laugh. But Inovia Behavioral Health is InoviaBH.com, and you do /subscribe. If you use the code Cookbook20, you get 20% off of their subscriptions, and they are a wellness company. And I am going to pull up my little blurb for them. They have a whole bunch of different classes, from uh, uh, self help, yoga. Um, uh, Kofi, pause for a second, because I just drew a blank and I lost their thing. Ugh, how do we screw up a sponsorship this way? Um, it was there and then it like disappeared. Kofi, you pausing this? Here it is. Okay, that's what I wanted to say. I'm just gonna have to read it. He'll cut it and he'll put a thing. there. Inovia is a subscription-based organization that provides unlimited access to a wide variety of educational, experiential, and therapeutic support groups that are led by live expert facilitators. Like I just said, you can get 20% off your membership with the discount code Cookbook20 when you subscribe. So check it out today at inoviabh.com. Inovia, feel better. I'm super excited about this sponsor because they align with my values, right? I'm all about self-care and self-help, and this will point you all in the right direction. So check it out again, Inovia Behavioral Health. Okay. We'll fix that. So, so anyway, it was funny. I got a sponsor, and like I didn't expect it. It kind of came out of the blue from a friend, and I was talking to somebody, and we're brand new. We're like 25, 26 episodes in. Maybe by this point, about 30. I may have about 1,500 downloads. Okay. And people don't get sponsorships before like 10,000. Like I was talking to Kimberly Spencer, who's, Crown Yourself. And she's going to kill me for getting the name of her business wrong. She's like, that's kind of unheard of. So I feel very grateful for the sponsorship. And it's an amazing service. They literally have everything on there from like I said, yoga, and they even have like a guys like self-help area. So the guys can go there and, get some support. So it's really cool. So what, I think you've already said this, but what makes you different than because I don't even know if I want to, do you call yourself a coach? Like what do you, and I know we don't like labels, but how do you describe what you do?
Yeah. So right off the bat, I call myself a woman's fulfillment extraordinaire, which I love, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny because when I say that, people look at me, they're like, you're a what? And so then it's like, okay, well, to simplify this, I'm a coach, right? At the end of the day, that's what I help you to do. However, the coach word is overused so much right now. And so, yes, I did want to be able to stand out. And yes, I believe I am different than so many people out there. I know I was talking to a fellow, actually, we were having a call, and he said to me, he's like, you know what, Jennifer? He's like, what I love about our time together so far is how much you care. It's like, you don't know how many coaches I've hired or spoken to who just, I'm another number. Mm-hmm. I'm a paycheck. But he's like, I haven't paid you squat all for this call. And the amount that you have shown you care is incredible. And it means the world to me because I haven't been able to open up like this in I don't know how long.
Wow.
And so I guess that's part of what makes me different is just how much I care, right? Like the level that it means to me, and people they're not just a paycheck. They're not just another number.
Right.
I know what it's like, and I know what it's like being on the other side. And so I think that is a special gift that I bring to it, is having been there and experienced and knowing what it's like, but also being that person who's also going to be like, hey, I know that it's hard, but if you want to see the work, you got to continue to show up, right? I'm going to give you a little bit of that sweet and also tough love all at the same time, because I know that's sometimes what we need to drive ourselves forward, right? I'm not going to just give up on you on your goals. Maybe you might feel like it in the process, because personal development, nobody tells you how hard it is. It's the most rewarding journey, and it's also one of the most challenging journeys, along with entrepreneurship, those two things.
Right. I was talking to Erin Marcus last week, and she said, the best self-discovery tool is entrepreneurship, mm-hmm. because that's where you find out I mean, really, what you're made of, right? Like,
Yeah.
um, what can you withstand, and you know, how do you make yourself vulnerable enough to get the help that you need?
Right. And
I mean, that's
it brings up all of the fears and insecurities you didn't know you
all
had.
of them.
Like you didn't
Imposter
know you had
syndrome.
them.
Oh my God. Jen Kochen, talked about, imposter syndrome, and, she's moved away from it. But man, there are still days, that not as often. I mean, it used to be a lot. Now it may happen like once every couple of months, but I'll be having a conversation and it'll be like, it'll last about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Shit, do I belong in this room?
Right.
Oh, yeah, you do. You do. You're good.
But you know
You're
what?
good.
So I was actually just at this incredible women's event on the weekend, and Joanna Griffith, the owner of Nick's women's undergarments,
Yeah.
she was the key speaker, and she spoke beautifully of this, right? Because she's a woman who has built a 9+ figure business,
Yeah.
highly successful, but listening to her was so empowering because she is just like you and me.
Yeah.
She is no different. And she talks about how she still experiences that imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And her assistant was asking her, she was about to have some sort of press release. And her assistant said, "So what title should I use for you? What do you want to be called?" And she's like, "You know what? For the first time in my entire business, it took me getting to 9 figures, before she felt comfortable calling herself CEO of her own company."
Wow.
So when we talk about imposter syndrome, we so often think that I need to achieve this state or this external level or have so much in my bank account before I'm worthy or before I'm good enough, before I'm deserving. The work doesn't happen externally. It
Right.
happens in here,
Yep.
right? And even before she was going to sit down, all of us in the room, the entire room is standing and just applauding her. And same thing, she's like, "You guys stop. The imposter syndrome's so real right now. Do I deserve this? Yes,
Yeah.
girl, you freaking deserve this."
Yeah. That is so, that makes me feel so good because, right? Because, I want to build this to, it's funny because, do you know Lindsay Hotmeyer?
No.
She's a dame.
Okay.
And she lives in Indiana, and, we'll meet for, actually we're overdue. We usually meet quarterly to, kind of get together.
Mhm.
The first conversation that we had was about how I don't need to be a millionaire. I don't need to be a millionaire.
Mhm.
It's not about that. And now that I'm where I'm at, it's like, I do want to get to that next level. And I want to get to that next level, not for me. I want to get to that next level so that my wife doesn't have to work anymore. Right. So that we can travel. And, I look at my vision board and it's like right there. It's on my screensaver. It's like all the things. And I look at it and it's like, you know what? I want the money and prosperity, not for me.
Mhm.
I want it so that she's comfortable, so that, I'm a very big philanthropist. I have a not-for-profit. I want to be able to grow that to be a true, not-for-profit. I want to be able to help up and coming entrepreneurs. I want to be able to just help and also be comfortable, right? And then I look at this and I look at, my family and my pets, and I have, health and wellness. So I want to be healthy and strong. And my passion and creativity is my business and my podcast and, my music. And, I look at all of this. And when I look at it, I get this amazing feeling of I know it's going to happen,
Mhm.
and that I know it's for the greater good.
Yes.
And it didn't used to be about that for me. It used to be like, the one with the most toys wins.
Mhm.
And I don't give a shit about that anymore.
Yeah.
For me, it's how many people can I help? How many people can, I get on that path? So something really weird happened about 6 months ago. Was it? I think it was about 6 months ago. I'm talking to somebody and I just like totally lost my train of thought. Wow. That's weird. Well, no, because I know that it was about helping people. That just totally went out of my head. Okay, it'll come back when it comes back. Oh, I know what it was. It was about, you know, how do you how do you show up, right? So you're out here and you're making this money and you're in this position that, you know, now you can, and I'm not 100% there, but now, you know, you can help guide people. So I'm in my doctor's office. This is what it was. And I'm waiting for my doctor to come in. And the nurse comes in. She's taking my vitals. And she goes, "Do you need a note for your boss?" And I said, "No, I actually own my own business." And she was like, "Oh my God, that's like the coolest thing ever. I want to own my own business." And I said, "Cool. What do you want to do?" And she goes, I said, "Do you want to like do like a nurse practitioner thing?" And she's like, "No, food is where, you know, culinary." And I went, "Oh, cool." I said, "So you want to open a restaurant?" She's like, "No, I want to open a food truck."
Okay.
I said, "That's awesome." I said, "Do it.
Yeah.
Do it. Like go for it." And she goes, "Yeah, but I'm doing this." I said, "You could do both. Save your money." I said, "Are you happy with doing this?" And she's like, you know, enough.
Mhm.
Okay. So don't quit your job. Don't quit your job because, you know, you're not in fear of getting fired or anything. Save your money.
Mhm.
Save your money. Get your plan together. If you need an investor, get an investor. If you can do it on your own, do it on your own, but get your damn food truck.
Yeah.
And she looked at me and she goes, "I don't even know what to say."
Mm.
And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "I have been struggling with this for 6 months." She goes, "And I truly believe that God sent you to me today."
Mm.
And I'm not a religious woman. I
Yeah.
believe in the universe. I have my issues with saying the word, you know, God. But it just hit me like, and once again, it goes back to this. It's helping people find their path, you know, guiding people. And when I get to that point that I have that money that I can maybe help invest or something, right? You know, like help somebody on their road. So, so I'm super excited. I want to share this with the world, but I'm not going to because, you know, it's my little thing. It's my little thing to look at and be like, yeah, you know, it's going to happen. But when you say that, you know, I mean, 9 figures, I can't even imagine. Like 7 figures is still, you know, staggering. But, you know, the fact that she still has imposter syndrome makes me go, all right, this is going to keep happening and it's okay
Right.
because we're going to continue to grow.
Well, and I think the difference is do you feel it and just allow it to continue on and snowball and bring you down so that you don't feel like enough? Or are you conscious enough, aware enough to identify that it's there and then talk back to it? And be
Yes.
like, no, I hear you. You're an old story, right?
Go away.
You
Yes.
served me at one time, but you're not serving me anymore. The
Right.
truth is, I am capable of this. I do belong in this room, right? And so it's
Yeah.
being aware enough to acknowledge and identify that it's there in the first place and that it's not the truth. It's a fear-based response. It is not the truth.
Right.
And that's where it's important to jump in.
Oh, 100%. My mindfulness coach does this thing where she's like, you're driving a car. Who's in the car? Who's in the front seat? Who's in the back seat? Who's talking to you? Like, who's in your ear?
Mm-hmm.
So the person in my front seat is like my grandmother, who's always encouraging me. You know, she's passed like a long time ago, but who's always encouraging me, right? And then the people in the back seat are the backseat drivers.
Right.
You're like, no, make a right. Shut up. I'm supposed to go this way. You know, no. You're supposed to, no. Get out of the car. And then you kick them out of the car, right? And then there's the other one who's like, no, you're gonna hit a wall. You're driving on the shoulder. Get the hell out of my car. You know, you throw them out of the car.
Yes.
And then there's the one that's on the roof. That's the really bad one, right? That she's the one that's just like, you're not doing this right. Your hands are on the steering wheel wrong. just kick her right off the top. And then I have just me and grandma having a really great, great conversation. And that visual, I think about that, it cracks me up. But, I literally picture myself throwing them out of the car. Nope, goodbye.
Yes.
Goodbye. You don't
Yes.
need. And that's the imposter syndrome. That's those people that are trying to put those thoughts in your head.
100%.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, you need to, right? You need to actively kick them out and not just let them fester, or else they'll take over. And we've all experienced that. It's not nice.
Yeah. Well, this has been amazing. I mean, we're at like over an hour, which always happens. I mean, it always goes so fast. And like the people that are listening and watching, always tell me, it's like, man, I read that it's an hour. And this is like, these are new people. They're like, I see that it's an hour. And they're like, yeah, I'm not going to listen to this. And then they listen to it and they're like, where the hell did the hour go? So that's awesome. So thank you for taking the time, to come and speak to me and, have my audience, hear you and learn about you. If people are looking for you, where can they find you?
Yes. So what I'll do is I'll actually send a link to you where if somebody wants to go ahead and book a call with me, they can do that. If they want to send me an email or apply to work with me, the options are there.
Okay.
Other than that, if they want to follow me on social media, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn. Right now, my website is it's down right now because I'm revamping it. So those are the best places to catch me at.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so the last question that I ask all my guests is, what lights your fire? Mm-hmm. And it could be anything, personal, professional, whatever. Like what is your passion?
Yeah. Well, so a few things, right? So having really real, raw, vulnerable conversations, that freaking lights me up. But I love mountain and water. Right? So get me in the mountains, allow me to be active, allow me to move my body, whether I'm hiking up to the top of that mountain or I'm on a stand-up paddleboard. Just get me moving and let me be in nature, and I am a happy woman.
Nice.
Yes.
That is awesome. And nature does it. It has a way of like revitalizing us, right? Because I believe we're all connected to the earth. So, well, thank you again. Hang on, I'm going to say goodbye to my audience and then I'll be right back with you. But everybody, once again, thank you so much for hanging out for an hour plus. It means the world to me, and all of you folks that are downloading, keep subscribing and downloading. The more you subscribe, you get, a notification of a new episode. The more you download, if you like me and you want to help me, just keep downloading, because the more downloads I get, the more it really kind of helps me move up. And I just appreciate everybody who's listening and watching. And again, I want to thank my sponsor, Inovia Behavioral Health. Again, the code is Cookbook20, and go to inoviabh.com/subscribe. Put that code in and you'll get 20% off. And it's for all of their services. It's not just for, yoga or for, meditation or anything. It's for everything. So you get access to all of their classes and their, all of it. So, thank you again. And I'm going to sign off. Iris Goldfeder. Go out, find what lights your fire. Till next time, everyone. Bye.